I was watching a Utah Jazz-Houston Rockets game the other week when I saw Chris Paul take a ridiculous shot. It wasn't a circus shot, and it wasn't forced because of the shot clock. It was simply a move that he has decided is effective, and one that he must train in practice. Here it is. Paul is isolated on an elite 7-1 defender in Rudy Gobert. Paul takes Gobert out to the three-point line, and proceeds to pull off a step-back, fadeaway three-point shot. There are actually quite a few NBA players who utilize step-back three-pointers with a little fadeaway. Here's Steph Curry doing so. And here's James Harden doing his step-back three, which has become his signature move. But what I've noticed with a few distinct players is that the amount of fade that they use in this shot has increased significantly. The key, I believe, is that the new step-back is to the right rather than to the left, forcing the player's body to move and fade further to realign their shot with the rim. Remember, with Harden, it would be the opposite side, stepping back to the left because he's left-handed, which he usually doesn't do. Harden also doesn't have to apply the same level of fade to his fadeaway because he's a fairly large 6'5" compared to the players using this new move, like Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, and Chris Paul. Let me show you what I mean in more detail. If I say step back fadeaway 3, you probably think bad shot. It's logically a bad shot because it's a 3, so it's far from the hoop. It's a step back, which lowers the percentage, and it's a fadeaway, which adds to the difficulty even more. Understandably, this shot isn't one that we see very often in NBA games. Only the best shooters do it, like I showed with Curry and Harden. But notice how, because they step back straight back, or slightly to their non-shooting sides, their bodies are already turned at the correct angles for them to get their shots off. The fact that you are already turned when you step back to your non-shooting side allows you to get the shot off quicker, reducing the amount of fade necessary to get the shot off cleanly. This makes it an easier shot, and I'm sure that many of you have experienced how it is easier to step back when driving to the left than when driving to the right, assuming that you're right-handed. What a limited number of elite players are doing now, however, is stepping back to the right, aka their shooting side, from three-point range. Look at how long it takes for Chris Paul to fade in the air to get his right shoulder back in line with the rim, because his body was actually turned the other way, to the right, when he stepped back in that direction. The other players who do this regularly, from what I've seen, are Kyrie Irving and Damian Lillard. Kyrie did it in Game 7 of the Finals for the Cavs to win the series, and since then, he started to do it in the regular season games like a normal shot, like this one against the Brooklyn Nets. Lillard, on the other hand, has been doing it for a few seasons now. Here's footage of him pulling off an isolation, one-dribble version of the shot against the Spurs in a triple overtime game in 2015. Of course, I don't watch every minute of every NBA game, so I could be missing some players here. If you've noticed other players regularly utilizing the step-back three-point fadeaway to their right side, then feel free to let me know in the comments below with a link to some footage. As I say in the title of this video, this fadeaway shot is particularly unguardable. The best example is CP3's shot over Rudy Gobert. Because Paul is at the three-point line, Gobert must give Paul enough space to prevent an easy blow-by and layup. However, despite Gobert's massive size and vertical reach, even he can't stop this step-back fadeaway because it creates distance and an angle from which the defender is at a near impossible position to attempt a block. A shot can be made more difficult because of the presence of someone nearby. However, the nature of this new shot means that it is already so difficult, having a defender there can make little to no difference. The creation of space is just so elite that it makes the shot truly unblockable, albeit inherently difficult, because of the strength required to still reach the rim while moving away from the basket like this. So, you might be wondering what the wider implications of this new shot are. In my opinion, it is a shot that we will see more and more small guards pulling off over time. It's not really a shot that larger wing players need to have in their arsenal, at least for now. Because the smallest NBA players have to work so hard to get enough space just to get their shot off without being blocked, I expect it to be a move that the elite small guards add. Of course, it requires incredible skill as a shooter, and that's why only exceptional shooters like Kyrie, Lillard, and Paul are pulling off this move. It also requires you to be one of the best players in the team with an established history of success. If a role player tried to pull this off in a game, I assure you that the coach would be taking them out at the first opportunity. I also think that this points to the larger trend in the league of moving towards three-point oriented offenses. It shows how players, and perhaps coaches, are more willing than ever before to experiment with previously unexplored options, especially when it comes to creating three-point opportunities, something that the Houston Rockets are famous for. I assume that players like Paul, Lillard, and Irving practice this move in one-on-one situations, and do so with a high enough rate of success in practice that they feel confident pulling it off in a game. If you have developed consistency from NBA three-point range, then perhaps you could even try adding it to your own game. It should be even more unstoppable when your defender isn't at an NBA standard, as I'm sure is the case with most of your pickup basketball opponents, and you therefore won't have to fade as far back as players like Paul. Finally, on that note, I like to think that the main purpose of this channel is to help you think about shooting technique in ways that you haven't before. This, I believe, is the best way for me to help others achieve their basketball goals and aspirations. Of course, I have my own basketball-related goals, and if you're interested in following my development when it comes to shooting, then you should check out my Instagram page, which I've linked in the description. I'm currently working on my ability to shoot from about a foot beyond NBA range, as I try to figure out how the best NBA shooters do it from this objectively long distance from the hoop. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.